you should quit your job and do this because this is huge. Hair is purely decorative. It's like an appendix. It has no functional value. It's just aesthetic.
It needs to be a brand that looks like it was born out of New York, but it needs to be born out of India.
Right, and for young people even more so, like everything aesthetic, right? Water bottle aesthetic, lip balm aesthetic, shampoo bottle aesthetic.
The next non-obvious choice that Moxie is going to make. When we think of category creation, we often imagine completely new markets. But sometimes the harder thing is to build inside a category everyone thinks they already understand. Haircare in India was one such category. It was large, it was competitive, it had legacy brands, global companies, and deeply embedded routines. But for the founders of Moxie, that was precisely the opportunity. The Indian consumer had become more experimental with skincare, more expressive with makeup, but hair was still largely spoken through the language of repair, control, and function. Moxie saw a different signal, that hair could be about identity, about routines built not only for problems, but for how consumers wanted to feel. This is the story of building that belief before it was obvious. Okay, please join me in welcoming Nikita Khanna and Anmol Ahlawat, the founders of Moxie. Let's start with the market that you guys have entered. Now, hair care, of course, in India is one of the most established categories, you may call it, right? Consumers already have brands they trust, they have rituals they follow, and there's a very specific idea of what hair care is supposed to do, right? So when you guys were thinking of building in this category, and before we come to the strategy part of things, what was the personal pull? Why hair?
It started with my own hair, which is kind of like a very typical Indian hair texture. It gets very frizzy. I mean, right now it's in a slick back bun, so you can't tell, but it gets very frizzy and it's a soft wave. It's not straight at all, but it is not coily curly. It's somewhere in the middle. And that is what most of us have. Like brown people have kind of wavy to curly hair. That's the spectrum. It was very difficult for me to understand how if 80% of us in India and even more so in the south and the west, if we have this wavy to curly hair texture, then how come the products that we're all buying don't cater to this hair type, right? It's, at Unilever, they say an insight is something that feels obvious in hindsight. Historically, we would leave oil in our hair. That was hair care. That was also hair style. But for many decades now, we've been wearing our hair shorter, wearing it open, you're leaving home. So you don't want to do that. So we stopped leaving coconut oil in our hair, we stopped leaving almond oil in our hair, depending upon what part of the country you're in. But we didn't find a solution that is actually built and designed for our hair. So wanted to do that. I think initially it was just as an enthusiast. Like I was like, why is there nothing?
I need something for myself.
Yeah, why is there nothing? And then it didn't really start as a business idea. And then Anmol actually encouraged me and was like, you should quit your job and do this because this is huge. Like, it's not a niche, it's not a small scale problem.
But what we did realize early on was the fact that very simple insights, right? For the larger giants, the FMCG giants, we're not a very large market in revenue terms. So they would not really do innovation specifically made for Indian hair or any other hair type. So that's when the realization came, oh, that's why this doesn't exist. And that's when Nikita decided, okay, you know what, I can make the products part of it. We had already seen the early D2C brands that had come in with Mamaearth and them doing an insane job and stuff like that. But what we also did realize that the TG that we were talking to, which was the younger Gen Z folks, for them, there was no globally aspirational brand built out of India till now. So I remember my first statement to Nikita, I think we were walking post dinner in the society and I said, you know, it needs to be a brand that looks like it was born out of New York, but it needs to be born out of India.
So now these products that you've designed, right, they are not helping the consumers to get straighter hair. What it's doing is that your natural quality of your hair that you have, it nourishes that natural textured curly hair, right? That's what it does, not curly wavy hair.
Because the hair is not perfectly straight, the natural oils struggle to travel down. So the ends are always very dry. Like if you wear your curly hair very short, you'll be okay, but the longer it gets, the likelier it is to be very dry and frizzy and get more damaged. So it needs more moisture, which is why we used to leave oil in, but that does not now go with modern aesthetic sensibilities. So we have very lightweight leave-in conditioners, curl creams, that deliver that extra hydration because effectively the simplest articulation of the problem is your hair is dry. and it needs more moisture and it needs more moisture retention. So you need to be able to retain it. You shouldn't lose that moisture, a few hours after your hair dries. And when you do that, automatically it will spring up into its natural wave or curl pattern.
Now, at what point in all of this, while you were, of course, this journey started because of your own personal passion and wanting to solve for yourself, was there a point in time that you realized that Indian women were actually now ready to have a more evolved relationship with hair? Because hair care, of course, was always about functionality first. And Moxie actually has taken a very different route. It's not very functional to begin with. Right? You don't approach the consumer saying that these are the functional benefits that Moxie is going to offer, right? So is there a point in time where you realize that women are actually ready to have this more beauty relationship with hair?
Yeah, for sure. I think so there's two ways to think about it. One is just in terms of evolution of the BPC basket overall, where with skincare, with makeup, the consumer's already evolved, right? We're quite caught up with developed markets. There isn't really anything that you'll be asking your cousin to bring from abroad.
Yeah, that's
right. You have it all, with a combination of content and the e-commerce ecosystem. Just access to put information and being able to buy the product means that the sophistication has already arrived. And in terms of just like expression and like being ready to have a different relationship, I think definitely culturally Gen Z more than others, but really using fashion and beauty to express yourself, not being afraid to not look exactly like everyone else. That's a more recent development where you're not penalized for it.
It's really open up.
Even for guys, for that matter. I remember pre-launch we had done this almost like an India yatra to various different cities, and just to go see how consumers, just where they are, where they shop, talk to them, see what their hairstyles look like and stuff like that. We did speak to a bunch of these college boys outside Christ in Bangalore, and we were asking them like, what do you spend your money on? Like, if you had 100 rupees, where does the budgeting really go? And it was primarily either alcohol or fashion.
Sure.
But interestingly enough, all of them ended up saying that they do have a skincare routine now, right? So, and they used minimalist and brands like these. So you kind of know when engineering boys have moved to skincare routines, like the market has changed.
Definitely shifted.
And now you have
Even with hair, like I'm so surprised that when you said that, a large part of your consumer base is also actually men. So are they also particular about how, they're, how well taken care their hair is?
Massively. Hair is men's makeup, right? They don't have the other things. So they have fashion and they have hair. They don't have makeup as a tool to express themselves. So they are very particular.
Wow.
Even my dad has always used leave-in conditioner. Before I was using leave-in conditioner, he was using it because he's like, theek se set hone chahiye. And it is such a big part of self-expression when you think of Moxie and our assortment. So they needed something that speaks to young people also, right? It's not, the gap was equally clear. So we started with a focus more on women, but I mean, hair is hair. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Now, there's of course a big difference between saying that India needs better hair care products and saying that India is ready for a hair beauty brand, right? So when you were building Moxie and when you launched it, was this distinction in people's mind clear, or did you have to keep telling them that we are not another shampoo conditioner brand alone?
I would approach it from a very different point of view. I think for India to be ready for its hair beauty brand, India needs to know that it's beautiful in itself and it can own a beauty brand, right? I don't think Indians up until the previous generation were the colonized mindset was the fact that, oh, this is what looks good and this is what doesn't look good and stuff like that. I think now we have finally reached a stage where we can accept what good-looking Indians would look like, or what being comfortable in our own skin, in our own hair and everything else, right? So I think the time is now for India to accept the fact that, okay, you know what, we are into fitness, we take care of our hair, we take care of our skin, our needs are different, and we're proud of our own brands. The younger generation is too aware from a internet perspective. The information is democratized to that extent that I will not be able to sell you something that is shortchanged,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So hair has always been beauty. The codes of beauty have been there.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you take a real beauty Dove approach, you take like a more glam red
Fashion.
carpet L'Oreal, Khan approach. But the codes were there, and then when the clean beauty revolution happened, all of those codes kind of died, and it became only about ingredients and sulfates and veggies and fruits. But eventually, hair is purely decorative. It's like an appendix. It has no functional value, right? It's just aesthetic. Isn't that like so? Hair is beauty. But that's not how we were building our digital first brand. So Anmol was like why don't we have something that feels exciting? Because that feeling of your hair looking great, right?
Now, obviously, you were up against, like you just mentioned, these large incumbent brands, right? These are brands with scale, with distribution, and years of consumer memory that they've built, an association with the brand itself, right? And obviously, you couldn't outspend them or out-distribute them on day one. So, how did you decide where you're not going to compete on, and what is it that Moxie is going to do differently?
I think we're fundamentally differentiated on our initial proposition. Of course, now we are more diversified, and we have like an anti-dandruff range, which is also very innovative and has been doing very well. And we have more styling products, hair masks. So the assortment is more broad. But when we started with our initial assortment, it was wavy hair, frizzy hair, curly hair. Right. And that was the world. But our proposition was fundamentally completely different, right? Like, if legacy companies are telling you that you'll use the product and then you'll become this Bollywood celebrity and you'll have this amazing blowout looking hair, that's not possible. Like if you didn't already have straight hair, the shampoo is not going to do that for you, right? Aaj tak that is not possible. I don't know what happens in the future, but that doesn't work, right? And so you're still chronically dissatisfied, feeling like maybe my hair is just bad.
There's some problem with me.
Yeah, and you're still waiting for it to turn magically straight. We challenged that completely, and we were like, that doesn't happen. And your hair isn't just bad straight hair. It is wavy hair that's waiting for the right nourishment. And the moment you do that, this will actually happen, right? And we deliver on that promise, because this is actually the science of hair. It's not just marketing you something that you will continue to pay more and more and more money for, and eventually get that keratin treatment and all of that. Right? We've all, like I have done that, been there, done that for many years. So with that, it's not like we were just putting a fresh young wrapper on top of a product that already exists. Yeah. We were completely differentiated, even when it just comes to what we're seeing in terms of problem, solution, and function. And then the wrapper on top of it was also something that we really thought through semiotically, what colors will we use, what will the visual world look like, what will the voice be like, how does it all come together so that we don't have a fabulous product that just never breaks the clutter, because, to Anmol's point, you have thousands of brands to choose from, all of whom are bombarding you with content. So it was that beautiful marriage of both. But I think in the early days, when our flyaway wand was our, kind of like viral smash success, and our wavy routine also picked up momentum immediately for that reason. Like if it were not a very differentiated product, just another, it would have been really hard for us to have this sort of growth early on.
Correct. Okay. Now, a lot of hair care conversation, like you said, begins with a problem to solve. Moxie, of course, entered from a very different place. You just mentioned that. But over time, the business, of course, also has moved beyond discovery trial into more repeats, regimes, routines. So what was that first hook that you used to get Moxie to actually try the brand, or to get consumers to try Moxie?
I think I remember when we went live and we pressed the button to go live on November 17th, 2023. So to just give you context, we went from 0 to 40 lakhs a month in 4 months.
It's just 4 months.
In 4 months at a CAC of 170 rupees, right? Which was just unheard of. So the first question that we got was, what
are you guys doing?
What happened here, right? And when we looked back at that data, we kind of saw the hook was authenticity. Nikita brought that to the table, but the way we were still selling a problem solution. So the FlyFix is a very problem solution oriented product, and that was a large chunk of the sales in the initial days. But even in that, we had a wrapper around it which was very aspirational and authentic and real. So the storytelling and the reels and the way the content was made, the ads were made, it was packaged in a beautiful package, but the problem solution category code still existed underlying.
I think that also definitely made the GTM a lot easier. But the flyaway stick like really took off, and there were no like professionally shot ads. There still aren't. Everything is just a normal person with an iPhone. Whether it's initially it used to be me, now it's a bunch of wonderful content creators that we work with, and we work with new people every month. To be able to just keep it real but still keep it fun, still keep it like the word Moxie, it means like spunk and character, right? But to do that and balance that with problem solving it's that nuance, that thin line. The first 2-3 months the flyaway stick was more than half of our sales, but then that's when we were still figuring out how to do the storytelling on the routine. But so that's when we met Fireside for the first time in month 4, and then by the time we had our conversations, signed the term sheet, diligence, money came in, and we crossed 1 crore a month. By then, the flyaway stick was less than 30%. No single product is more than 20% of our sales even now. Which is very unusual. We don't have like a single hero. But shampoo and conditioner was always selling because it is a routine. So shampoo, conditioner, and then the leave-in conditioner and the gel, or whether you do a 3-step, 4-step, depending upon what your personal preference is. But we always had it, and our shampoo has actually always been our bestseller. Like if you need to look for the one product with the highest contribution to sales, it is actually shampoo.
So has that been a journey where the consumer came in with the fly stick? So how do you guys actually take the consumer through from lifestyle styling products to actually building their entire routine with Moxie?
So we operate on a scale of maintenance in the middle, which is your shampoo, conditioner, oil, enhance, which could be your leave-in conditioner, curl cream products, and style, which would be where wax stick, flyaway stick, or any of these products sort of come in. And on the negative scale, there's deviation and deterioration. Deterioration would be where you need a doctor's something which is massive hair fall and stuff like that. Deviation would be a pimple patch type of problem solution kind of category. We always kept it very clear that we will operate on the positive side of the axis and we won't deviate too much. If the moment a Colgate would go into Sensodyne territory, it will not work because the category is completely different, and there are giants that occupy that space and will defend it and will not let you gain market share. Right? The interesting bit was the styling part of the category was very small from a market share point of view. So there was practically no flyaway stick market in general. And the shampoo is very large, but how do you compete in a shampoo category and still make the CACs land and still be able to deliver growth? Two things. One, yes, the styling category is something that we build and we hold, and we keep gaining consumers from there and then translate them to shampoo and conditioner as well. But our CAC was actually equal on shampoo conditioner as it was on the styling category, which was very surprising for us because we just didn't think our shampoos, we'd be able to sell shampoos that easily, right? One of the main reasons for that is if you actually look at our Cogs breakdown, which is the cost of goods, 80% is actually raw material and 20% is packaging material. For most brands, it's actually the opposite ratio. 50% of our raw materials actually comes from outside India at the moment because that grade or that quality of ingredient is not available in India in the first place. So there are a bunch of these ingredients which we get from France, Spain, Korea, etc. And we register in India and we figure out a distributor in India for them for the first time, right? What that essentially does is the fact that because the product is genuinely good in terms of from a Cogs perspective and the raw material perspective, that we depend on the repeat sales to kick in and the word of mouth to sort of spread.
Purely from the first product experience itself.
Yes. And that I think we've been very clear on. Like every single product that we're gonna give a 2,500 rupee experience in a 600 rupee price point. And that's what essentially goes ahead and builds the business long term. And that's how we've been able to compete, and that's how the CACs are landing.
Now, the amount of pressure that these new consumer brands have, right? That there is so many channels that keep propping up, especially in recent times where there's a new channel which becomes the talk of the town, and there's a lot of pressure that brands have to be available in all places, right? But I think when it came to Moxie, the channel journey or the choosing of the channels that Moxie is going to be available on was very deliberate. So talk to us about your channel journey. How did you decide, what channel, would be the best suited for how Moxie wanted to talk to the consumer?
Yeah. I think we initially just decided to do D2C, and the choice was basically, it didn't come from any particular parameters or anything like that. So website felt like a good place to start. And as we started the website and we started scaling up, the only other thing that we kind of realized is the fact that delivery एक दिन में हो जाएगी तो better रहेगा, rather than 3-4 days which we initially used to deliver the products at. So that's when we ended up opening Amazon. Yes, we did look at Amazon's depth and then sort of knew for a fact that कि हम इस category में इतना बड़ा business बना लेंगे inside Amazon. But I think what's critical is if you're building brand-led, then brand searches are actually what's going to drive conversion on any of the platforms.
Sure.
So your brand searches have to be high enough for you to make any kind of sense where the platform values you and you value the platform as well. We didn't do this intentionally, but it happened over a period of time. For the first full year, we were only website and Amazon.
Which is the democratic platform. Like you can, like you don't have to prove anything to anyone because it's a marketplace, right? Amazon, Flipkart, you can just list, and D2C also you can start your website. But you need certain traction before you go to the others. B, there wasn't search volume for our categories, right? It's all category creation. Even the shampoo and conditioner is sold as a wavy hair routine, curly hair routine. So without that existing search, like we didn't build in terms of किस ingredient का trending search चल रहा है उसमें कुछ launch करो. We did 2 years to make a product, so we can't do that, right? That's not even an option. So as we were doing that, I think just the brand sales and therefore the dead search started to get built up, and then when Fireside came in, Prayag immediately before the check even came in, right? I like to call him value-adding machine. what a guy is. So he introduced us to everybody. And at the time, we didn't even know. So we met, Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, Nykaa, Purple, everyone. And we, Tira, Myntra, we did, Anmol started doing twice a month trips to Bangalore, to meet everybody. And that's when we started to kind of figure that there is a lot of dead search for Moxie on all of these platforms, more than even we had anticipated. And then we just kind of had to sequence it in the right way for us to also be able to make the most of being on the platform, right? And even that, I think, once the conversation opens up also, it's not कि कुछ भी करके किसी भी terms of trade पे सारों में list कर दो. Yeah, so, and Anmol was very thoughtful about how to do that as well, and, kind of Prayag generally also is it's not just intros, like he's very clued into exactly what's happening everywhere. So being able to problem solve that together, then we built the roadmap and we took a year to go live across all of these.
Multiple different platforms.
Yeah. And I think that journey is still continuing, right? With Adarsh coming into the Fireside team and then, adding a lot more value, and my discussions with him कि कौन सा चैनल पे क्या चल रहा है, किस पे फोकस करना है, किस पे नहीं करना है. It's still not an easy journey with quick commerce ramping up by itself and the other platforms doing what they're doing. Right. So the first 1 year essentially just ended up going away and figuring out कि basics कि चाय कहाँ से आएगी, ऑफिस कहाँ है, लोग कहाँ बैठेंगे, अच्छा बेचते कैसे हैं, basic supply chain setups and stuff like that. So to gear up and handle a quick commerce multi-city supply chain effort and 100 POs a week and stuff like that, I think that's where Adarsh and I have worked very closely, and he's been super helpful in figuring out कि अच्छा Instamart के inside, like, okay, what kind of cam, what kind of people do you need, what kind of help do you need to just get those basics right.
Well, even the quality of conversation at the board level, right? It's not कि मतलब कहाँ है sales, which is, and unfortunately that is the reality for a lot of people also. The conversation on even scaling up is not let's figure out a hack.
And now that you're successful, how can we ramp this up really quickly?
And it is more like the fundamental issue, right?
I remember multiple discussions with Dipanjan on a month-on-month level in the board meeting as well, just where he's just like, you know, guys, there are so many categories that you're building new. There can be very interesting ways in which how you approach platforms and how you build it with them. So do it very strategically, think about it and stuff like that. So, and there was no, oh yeah, of course the sales were also happening, and so there was no question of sales, but just the intentionality with which you approach business rather than pushing it in one direction or another, which is just haphazard.
Has always been so particular. Like if there will be some low-hanging fruit, let's say, which is like the platform will be like, oh, this is a product that's suddenly exploding. There's only one brand doing it. Aap bhi bana do, nikal do. The Dipanjan will be like, if it's not your core, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't do it. Maybe think about it in the future, but always like brand takes precedence over quick revenue.
Sure.
Right? And it's हम भी बह जाते हैं कभी-कभी when you know everyone's like, oh my God, it's like, why aren't you thinking about this? This could be like an easy 1 crore a month for you, and then you know it's good to have that, like the right sort of mentorship.
In fact, on quick commerce, I want to ask you is, I've been told that today actually a lot of brands chase quick commerce, right? They want to go talk and they want to make sure at any cost they get listed. I've been told that it was absolutely the other way around for Moxie, where quick commerce came chasing after you guys, saying that, you know, you guys need to get listed on the platform. So tell me, what is it that you can advise, you know, founders who are thinking about this channel, and how did you decide what was the right time for Moxie to, you know, to be available on the quick commerce platform and not get swayed by this, you know, deluge of everybody is there, so I got to be there as well.
जब तक आपके पास search volume नहीं है, तब तक आप platform पे जाके करोगे भी क्या? So search volume, it's essentially a distribution platform.
Yeah.
It's not a discovery
Just
platform.
transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like once you enter a Blinkit,
you know what you want.
It's like Albi once said as well, ki, I want you out in 40 seconds.
Yeah.
I want you to make your cart, add everything, get out. I don't want you to browse and figure out and spend a lot of time on the app. So if a consumer knows what they're looking for, then it's
That's the signal.
That's the signal. And for you to judge that, what kind of searches are you operating with, or dead searches that are there on any platform? I think when we went live on Blinkit, I think we had 50,000 dead searches on Blinkit a month, and that's when we decided, okay, you know what, now it kind of makes sense to go there and list and work with,
serve that demand.
Yeah, and if you, of course, quick commerce have their own P&Ls, and they have to make sure of the fact that they're doing you 10-minute delivery, so their commission metrics and everything else will be a lot higher. You can only make sense of them and only also have any kind of negotiating power if the consumer is actually searching for you.
Yeah.
And so my advice would just be the fact that don't go too early. If the platform doesn't want you, and if the consumer doesn't want you on the platform, what are you going to do there? And just because you're there and you expect कि हम अब बिक जाएगा सामान, just because I'm listed.
Yeah, तो
that doesn't really end up
spend करके you figure, you know, you become discoverable by burning a lot of money, and again, this
that
is not sustainable.
also doesn't end up happening. I'll tell you.
At least not in BPC.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's like think about it from a general trade perspective, right? Everyone says exactly the same thing कि आप दुकान में तो मैंने आप माल रख दिया, but मैं जानता ही नहीं कौन है, कौन सा ब्रांड है, क्यों खरीदना है, कहाँ से आएगा. अगर डिमांड नहीं है तो आप रखे रहो, आप टॉप शेल्फ पे सामने रख दो, तब भी नहीं बिकेगा.
And it's different for general merchandise. I think QCOM is great for discovery for food, which is like you know, lower investment. Impulse.
Yeah.
हाँ, ठीक है, let's try this new ice cream. Looks great, but for BPC you will need to see reviews. You will need to do so eventually.
Purchase.
Yeah. So transaction will happen here, and you still need. If someone is looking to buy the category but doesn't have a specific brand in mind, right? Let's say they would like to buy a hair gel, and so then yes, you'd like to be there, but it's still, if they've never heard of you before, I don't know that they're going to buy your hair gel, right? So it's not an impulse category. In general, it is, you need higher trust. The fact that it's there and it's curated certainly helps, right? For non-marketplace, like for a Nykaa, for a Blinkit, and all of these kind of either the beauty verticalized platforms or the QCOM platforms, there is not infinite inventory, so there's still more trust, right? Maybe you'll still go ahead and be like, theek hai, the 3 brands that are there on Blinkit must be big. But eventually, I think Anmol struggles a lot whenever he's speaking to folks who are like, I just want to list there and फिर मेरा बिक जाएगा. He's like, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला. And उल्टा जब नहीं बिकेगा वो उठा के तुम्हारा return to vendor भी कर देंगे और तुमसे बात भी करना बंद कर देंगे.
Correct. It actually hurts you in the long term.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some moments of doubts. I'm sure there must have been a few in the journey that you've had. So not every part, obviously, of building the brand that you've built would have been very obvious, right? So was there a stretch or was there a decision which was very non-obvious or felt very non-obvious and you thought that it may not work and where you genuinely doubted that, this may not be the right way to do things?
I don't think we have one.
I've never had that feeling.
We operate on a very fundamental philosophy of just getting inputs right.
Okay.
And we don't give a shit about the output. And that sort of holds true in every single thing that we do. For example, even from a new product development point of view, your ingredients aren't great. You've not thought about who this is for, how will it work, what is the form factor, the way, the texture, every single thing. Unless we are not thrilled about it, we don't launch it. So in 2.5 years, we have 20 SKUs, right? I know of multiple brands that would, the entire strategy is 250 SKUs a year.
Keep launching.
हाँ, तो उसमें से देखोगे क्या चिपक गया, क्या नहीं चिपका और उसको खींच दो kind of a thing. But that's just not our DNA, and we don't function like that. So, hence the thought being कि वो doubt ही नहीं है कि ये चलेगा नहीं चलेगा, क्या करेंगे नहीं करेंगे and stuff like that. That translates into every single other thing also that we do. Our team loves the box that we design, the team loves everything, packaging that we design, the team loves the ad that we design. That's the only way it goes up. Otherwise it doesn't go up at all. So the bar on quality is so high.
Sure. Even the product, like the reason we're taking so long to launch, I mean with certain things you just need to test it at different months of the year, especially if it's like weather is going to be and humidity is going to be a variable. But even otherwise, I think it's at a point where everyone is like वो samples खत्म हो रहे हैं because we're all waiting for things to launch and we wait to the point where everyone absolutely loves the product. Like every next conditioner or mask we launch becomes everyone's favorite and they're like, this is the best thing I ever used. So with the bar that high, I think we're okay to take our time and be sure that we really have conviction. If we don't have conviction, then we don't go ahead. Having said that, these are still things that are in our control, like what creatives we make, what products we launch. There are other things that maybe aren't in our control so much, but in our short 2.5 years, I think it's been okay, and it again helps to have the right partners. Our angel investors were always super supportive. We took a long time to launch, but nobody was like, move fast and break things. And I don't think you can do that in our category, right?
Yeah.
It's too risky. Like you need to, like, safety is the most important thing in the product. You need to make a fantastic product. It's not like tech ki theek hai, beta version I've released, I'll keep fixing my bugs.
Sure.
My shampoo cannot have any bugs, right? So it's so important. And then having patient partners helps. So first, I think the angels were all wonderful and supportive, then Fireside, but it's like the conversation when large decisions are being made also has to be that, we'll have to build patiently, we'll have to build with the right focus, right? And Kanwal, I think, is pretty much like, there's no one like him. But, and he'll always, it's like Bhishma Pitama, like he will show you the way, and it'll always be this karm karo and make sure that you are building something where you have conviction, make sure that you are creating value in terms of like scale and speed are not the only measure.
I think those will eventually come if you got the fundamentals right.
That's a byproduct of creating real value, right? So ये कुछ भी चिपकाने वाला is a bad way to build a brand, right? And it's
a good way to build sale.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a bad way to build brand.
Yeah, because it's very short term.
So maybe no doubt, but were there trade-offs that you guys had to make, and maybe some of those trade-offs were really hard, painful?
Yeah. Speed of launching products, certainly. It's June. We've launched one hair mask this year. We've not launched another shampoo variant. We only have 3 shampoo variants in 2.5 years. And we take our time, right? And obviously now it feels like, okay, you can just white label something. Everyone does it. Just pick up a formula that works and market it well. But we will not do that. We keep very tight control over the brand. We create every kind of visual, every ad, every piece of content, everything ourselves. So that also, like, we can't, for instance, we cannot double the number of creatives we make overnight because we just refuse to outsource. So then that means it's a slow journey of being able to figure out how to ramp it up with our, in-house creative agency which we're building. But having, I think, the right support is the biggest variable in that, because we may feel great about it, but agar upar se pressure aa raha hai, that you need to hurry, and why aren't you able to do X portfolio company is able to do 5X, but we've never heard that, right? And I think speaking to other folks in the ecosystem, we realize not everyone has that luxury. So always very grateful that that's never the discussion.
So now, while such high quality of high quality standards, right? Is there some thought that you guys have put in as the team scales, as the brand scales, as you guys grow? How are you going to ensure this control on the highest standards in anything that the brand does, right?
Our hiring philosophy is very simple. It's low ego, high ambition, and I feel like, and Nikita and I keep discussing it. We feel like Gen Z is the best generation to do things and build things, because one, the clarity of thought that they have is very high. The passion that they have, of course, you're going to have social media presents its own issues in terms of distractions and everything else, and social pressure. I feel like as far as the team is concerned, the intentionality of every single person in the team matters, and that's why we have this huge thing on the wall inside the office which says heart is non-negotiable.
Okay, nice.
So as long as you have heart in whatever you're doing, that includes ops, finance, NPD, every single
smallest
part
to
of
the most critical thing.
You will eventually end up doing the exact right thing. And that's pretty much the only philosophy that we have. And the other way we operate is the fact that only excellent people remain in the system.
Okay.
We're also very
meritocratic.
Very meritocratic. And at the same point in time, we're almost like the high performance sports team. So anybody that remains in the system is then performer. That's it.
And then it's a very, very young, very like affectionate. Like it's a strange balance of like being a very gentle, very loving workplace, but also very, very aggressively meritocratic.
Very emotionally bonded, high-performing sports team.
Yeah. Like there's the agony and the ecstasy of it all, and if one person is sad, then everyone descends on them with like cupcakes and coffee, and we forget whatever else we were doing. And as the team scales, we're still able to hold on to that. We hope even as we scale further, the team doubles, triples in size. We're able to do that just by driving culturally the way that we operate, the way that we think, and just the passion and love with which everyone works.
Okay, when you're building a new category, validation really doesn't show up in one single moment, right? It arrives in fragments. A conversation where you no longer have to explain to your partners or to the market, from a first principle point of view, right? So what were the first signs that you noticed that the consumer was responding to Moxie the way that you would imagine and the way that you would want it?
So I think definitely just early traction, because everyone had like scared the wits out of me. I was like, why have I even started this?
Scared you?
CAC will be 1,500 rupees. In the best case, it will be 1,200. You'll struggle. You'll have to buy revenue. Your ROAS will be less than 1. Yevo. So the earliest sign that something is working was just the fact that it was like flying. Right, and we went on our shampoo and conditioner. We went out of stock in 30 days. We had planned 6 months off because we were like, how will we possibly be able to sell? And we hit our like kind of year-end AOP in 3 or 4 months. So something is working, and this is largely based on the problem framing, the positioning, the brand. Right, in the early 3-4 months. After that, in the next 3-4 months, you see your repeat cycle kicking in, and that was also kind of top decile. Even when we went live on platforms, they were like, this is crazy, like we've never seen this sort of repeat cohort retained on our platforms. Everyone, QCom, BeautyCom, we were getting that kind of from everywhere. And people being willing to climb down the price ladder, like someone who is blind to price if they can pay 3,000 rupees for a shampoo.
Yeah.
Right? Even that person coming in and buying Moxie because the proposition is so strong.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these things really help to validate that what we were thinking, that this is a deep problem, that it is like a chronically unsolved problem, and also that the passion and love with which we built made all of these decisions. Like Anmol always likes to talk about the box, the D2C box, which is like just a shipper box. It should not cost more than $8 or $9, but we print on the outside, we print on the inside. We do like this crazy illustration, which is supposed to make you feel really excited and like hyped.
Like almost like an unpacking experience.
Yeah,
right?
like a gift from me to me, right? And it comes with like freebies and stickers, and it's so expressive and exciting, right? It's not a transactional grocery purchase. So everyone was like, why are you doing this? We made custom color developments, custom molds for all of our packaging. It's not something that people do, right? They just don't believe that this matters because they also treat it as a transactional product.
Sure.
Theek hai bhai, like, but it's not like a hand soap, right? Though if you think of Aesop, even that is no longer completely sterile.
Yeah.
So we were like, nahi, hum to karenge. We will spend more than 2.5 times of what other people do. And everyone, and I mean everyone, maybe even the people who would benefit from us doing this potentially, was like, you won't be able to do this when you scale.
Sure.
We still do it.
Yeah,
Just
when was
post it
the last time
organically.
anybody posted a photo of their shampoo on their Instagram story? Kind of told us the fact that, oh, this is working.
This is working.
Yeah, and
That's real love.
the validation is in the kind of love where people are like, can I buy this? Or, this is the only thing that I use anymore. This is the one that goes in the bag and then comes out in the office and gets put on the desk, right? Out of all of the pouches that they have in the house. So just these smaller moments, and maybe you cannot tie it directly to revenue, right? Like Rory Sutherland says, like a lot of things are just emotional, and you're building a relationship in the long term, and you cannot quantify it and show an exact ROI in the P&L and justify it. But you must do it anyway. You must believe that it matters. So I think just these micro moments of extreme love make us realize that, okay, no, we were right to invest in this, and it does matter, especially to a younger consumer for whom experiences are kind of the fuel of their life.
Sure. So you guys have cracked or seen a very unseen opportunity in the market, right? So in terms of the next non-obvious choice that Moxie is going to make, some thoughts on that?
I think one thing that we're very clear on, we don't really look at, of course, market opportunity and market size and all of those are secondary things, but the decision making is on the basis of the fact that हमारे को क्या बनाने में मजा आएगा. So the market share and everything else will of course be validated, but it's always going to be secondary.
It should be a
that's
large,
just how we end up operating.
It should be a large market and a deep opportunity. That is that obviously is the table stakes. But the reason for doing it is still very like, what are we passionate about as a team? What are we passionate about as like a leadership team, or even like more broadly as the org, versus going very very top down category में क्या चल रहा है? Where is it may not be the largest white space.
Sure.
It should be large enough white space to be able to build a large outcome.
Business out of it.
What everybody is going to be excited by and passionate about is still very much the North Star, and that is, I suppose, that's odd, that's different, but that's why we're able to, like, I genuinely feel like our reasons for starting, the philosophy behind the brand, the way that we hire, the way that everyone else feels about the work that they're doing in Moxie is the reason that we're able to give that feeling to the consumer also. You can't fake that. Like, it has to be authentic. They are not going to feel like this brand is so intentional and cares so much, like unless you actually cared so much.
Sure.
You can't pretend, right? So if eventually you are cold and corporate about your decisions, you can't build a brand whose reason to
Just the
be
opposite
bought
of that.
is warmth and love and understanding.
Oh.
The joy in little things is what keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
And that's like Gen Z. That's why we love working with Gen Z. People are always asking us, you have such a young team, but we love working with young people because we are fueled by passion, and they are fueled by passion. Like they don't want to compromise and do something that doesn't energize them.
Yeah.
But once they find that thing, they are all in.
Sure.
Right? So if it's a fit, right? If they believe what we believe, then it's actually really wonderful working with people who pour their heart and soul.
All right, thank you so much for taking out the time, for being so transparent, so honest with how you're building the business, and wishing you guys all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Lovely.